This is the Realacc D215. I like the look of this frame real well. The only thing I don't care necessarily much about this is that it's not a unibody and that the arms here, even though it's not unibody, they don't touch each other inside the frame. They don't touch each other on the side to side or front to back, which means that each of these arms is basically being held in place by the two screws that are attached to this main little hub here in the middle. These up here give a little bit of support, but because of this, you get a lot of play in your arms. I don't know if you can see it or not, but they're moving pretty good. And the only way to get rid of that is to crank down on these screws here in the middle so that it grips the arm a lot tighter. Now, if the arms actually came into the middle and they touched each other, then they would actually be able to play off of each other's strengths. But they don't, and that's why you get frames like this. And I don't necessarily care for the not unibody ones. So I was looking out there on Banggood for a new frame, and I came across this purple 215. And look, it's a purple shininess here. And the main thing I like about this is that it is indeed a unibody. Like I said, it's not that not unibody frames aren't good. It's just that they have to be designed and thought out well so that the arms can maintain a certain amount of strength so that they're not wobbling around. Just like the D215, this one comes with these aluminum spacers. And these aluminum spacers' primary job is to protect your electronics inside your frame during a crash. Well, this comes with the side plates here, and these two pieces go up on top of the aluminum spacers to provide a little bit more strength. Power distribution board, some little foam feet screws, and some nylon screws that will attach your power distribution board to your frame. And it comes with a battery strap and a landing mat, or the little battery protector, piece of carbon fiber here. So anyway, let's take a little closer look at the rest of these parts. So here's the main plate. Out here you can see that it's only going to use the 2200 size motors. If you have some 1806 or 11s or 14s, they're not going to fit. It's only going to fit the 2200 size motors because that's all it has. Now if we look at the cut on this, you can kind of see there's a few carbon fiber hairs that are kind of left in there. And that just means that their bit was getting dull when they were cutting this one out. Yeah, you can see it pretty well there. The whole frame itself, though, it's not in too bad a shape. I think a little bit of a sanding sponge on this would help out a lot. Yeah, there's some bad cuts along the edges of this. Now, this is a Realacc frame, and these kind of are hit and miss as to whether or not you get a real good cut frame. I've always had, fair luck with them, but every now and then I see one that's like near perfect, and it's really astounding. But on this one, you can see it doesn't hold the 20 by 20 size flight board. It's only going to use your 30 by 30 because of these holes here. And it has the battery strap holes inside the frame as well. I took it outside and did a little sanding. Oh my goodness. The edges feel tons better. They're not grabbing my thumbs like they were before. And I sanded down all the outside. Now there's not much I can do about the inside unless you want to start taking razor knives and start chopping off some of the sharp edges. Now when you're sanding this though, you mostly want to stay at an angle like this because you don't want it to get flat and just scratch up all of the main surface here. You want to keep everything at a pretty good angle if you're gonna sand it. And it doesn't take a whole bunch of sanding to get it smooth, but man, it feels a lot better. After I got done sanding it outside, I brought it in, put it under the water, and it washed it right up. Anyway, let's get on with the build part of this and see what it looks like when it's assembled. So here's the three big components of this assembled. Here's the battery protector. It has this little piece of rubber that comes with it that you stick on here, and that's supposed to help hold the battery in and keep it from sliding out the front or the back. It also comes with these little pads that are designed to help keep you up a little bit higher, so hopefully your propellers don't stick in the grass and get stuck. Here's the main pod itself. This is pretty slick. It has of course, has the two aluminum pieces running down the sides, and it has the carbon fiber screwed onto the outside with 3 screws here. And then there's 2 extra long screws that go through the carbon fiber and the metal piece here into the little antenna mount. Then it has these 2 little carbon fiber pieces up here on top that are held on with a few screws. There's a lot of screws in this top plate, so I'm kind of anxious to see what this thing's going to weigh. But this is, and it has the 4 holes here that will attach it down to the flight board, or down to the main board itself. And here I put the metal screws going up into spacers and the little nylon nuts up here holding the power distribution board on. So here's the purple 210 assembled. This thing, it looks really sharp. I like how it has all these black sides on here. It makes it look more like a pod rather than just a couple spacers with a carbon fiber piece on top. But this thing, it looks super durable. I mean, there's nothing that's going to break this pod at all, you know, or do any kind of damage to anything inside here. Because, well, unless, of course, you hit a tree and it were to go like that and go in. But other than that, you really can't really help that. But this thing itself is going to have way too much strength. Probably not too much, but enough that you're not going to have any problems. Now, if you do have your ESCs mounted out here on the arms, you're going to have to make sure you route all your wires in over the side of the board, because you got this thing up here in the way, this carbon fiber in the way of run the wires in the front. You also have the same problem back here with the carbon fiber in the way, so you can't run your wires in the back and then inside. Everything's going to have to route around the side of the power distribution board there, or your all-in-one fly board if you use one of those. Now the camera mount back here, this is really neat. I think they put this here, well actually I know they put this here because there's nowhere else to mount your antenna. But you can loosen these screws and you can twist this in any direction you want, you know, whether you want it straight up or leaning back a little bit to be a little bit cooler. But it looks like it's going to have plenty of strength inside here. I'll get some measurements off this in a minute. But right here are the camera mounts, so depending on how long your camera is, it may or may not stick out past the edge of this. It'd be really nice if it went right up to the edge. That way if you actually did a direct impact on something, hopefully that would, these side aluminum pieces would prevent your camera from actually hitting at all. Here I have my scale, and I'll go ahead and put this on. Now this is with the frame fully built with the power distribution board inside here and the battery strap and the battery protector and the little rubber pieces on here. So here we go. Now this is probably going to be a little heavy is my guess. Yeah, it comes in about 129.4 grams. Now 129 isn't really all that heavy, but a light frame or most other racing frames are going to come in about 100. Now they're not going to provide the kind of protection that this little pod cage thing here does, these aluminum pieces. But 130 is a little bit heavy, but if you're mostly just taking this to races and you're tired of crashing and repairing, this may not be a bad choice. So let's get a couple measurements off this frame. This is supposed to be a 4mm frame. It comes in about 4.3, 4.2, so that's pretty good. The arm width here is about 15mm. That's becoming kind of a standard for a lot of frames, is to have 15mm wide arms, especially if they have 4mm thick arms. Now the camera inside here, it's going to mount between this piece of carbon fiber and this one over here. And if I measure that width there, just the carbon fiber on the inside is about 29.2mm, and I'm actually measuring where the carbon fiber is not sitting here so we can get the inside dimensions of that. But it's about 29mm, so your camera needs to be able to fit into there. The whole thing overall is a little bit short of 30, 34. Actually, it's 33.8. And I say it's a little bit short because I can see a little bit of the power distribution board sticking out both sides. But it fits fine, and so there's not a whole lot of space in between the front and the back, but you don't really need it. And like I said, this whole frame here is really designed to protect those components inside. If we measure from about the center of this motor over to the center of the opposite motor, it comes in about 214, maybe 215. So it's good they called it the purple 215 because they were pretty close. So Realacc included these little foam feet inside this kit. Now this kit came with pads that go on the bottom part of the battery protector plate. Now in the last video I asked people where these are supposed to go, and a lot of people said, oh, they're supposed to go on the bottom plate. Well, in the other kit that may have been true, but here I can only think that they would put these out here on the edge of the arms. And why would you put them out there? Well, the reason that I like to have these out here is that it gives a little bit more space between the arm and grass, and so hopefully when I crash, it's going to help hold the motor up out of the grass a little bit more so that the propeller can spin fast enough to get it up out of the grass and I can keep flying without having to go pick it up or start my race over. So here's the D215 and the purple 215. Now these both have the aluminum pieces that go up over the top to help protect your electronics, and they're both going to do a fabulous job in protecting them. Now, if you look at this, you can see the D215 has substantially more room inside the frame. So if you're a little bit nervous about trying to build inside an area that's kind of tight like this, a frame like this might be a better choice. But on here, you're going to be soldering your flight board wires directly to the flight board. All your ESCs are going to come in here and solder here. The signal wire is going to come in and solder directly to your flight board. I don't think there's enough room in here to get a flight board with pins loaded onto it. So if you're not comfortable soldering directly to your flight board, well, the only thing I can tell you is get used to it, because It's the way everything's going, and it's going to be a lot cleaner. It's going to be a lot better, and you won't have wires come loose, hopefully, if you do a good soldering job, during the middle of your race. Now this one does have a lot of room, so it's going to be a little bit more generous on how badly you can put stuff together and still get it all to fit. But anyway, between these two, I would definitely pick this one, even though the build might be a little bit more challenging. Now, if you look at these, you can see their arm differences. The D215 over here, it has these extra slits that are in here, and that's to help let it hold 1806 or 1806 size motors. And also it has these little bumps out on the outside, and those are designed to help protect the motor as well. This side, or the purple 215, has smaller bumps that are a little bit more, you know, not quite as, I don't know, symmetrical or whatever as this one. I mean, it doesn't have 3, instead it has 4. Then it has the big long bump coming out the end to help give a little bit extra protection as well. But I think either of these arms should be fine. This one always makes me a little nervous because there's not a lot of material right here and there's not a lot of material right there. But I've been flying this same arm on the X210 and it's been flying excellent. In fact, I was looking at it the other day and it's finally starting to get some wear out on the carbon fiber. But anyway, this is about the purple 215. This one should give you plenty of protection, and seeing as how it's solid out here, it should be able to take a lot of impacts and not have hardly any chance of breaking out there. So this is the Realacc purple 215 frame. I think this is a really good frame. There's only really 2 complaints that I have about it. First of all, the carbon fiber is a little rough. But again, like I said, it's kind of hit and miss with the Realacc stuff. Sometimes they come out near perfect, and other times they're a little rough. But a little bit of sanding wedge on this took care of that problem. The other thing that kind of have an issue with is that it's 130 grams, so it's a little bit heavy, but that heaviness comes with a lot more protection for your electronics inside. I think your chances of breaking this pod off of here and smashing your internal electronics is pretty close to 0. And even this little piece up here in the front kind of has this chameleon, or the Armada chameleon kind of look to it. It has plenty of protection inside there for your camera, so I don't think you're going to have a real good chance of even breaking your camera. But anyway, this is the Realacc purple 215. This is available from Banggood. I'll have links down in the description. If you have any questions about this, leave them down in the comments, and I will try to help you out as best I can. And as always, thanks for watching.